Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, I want to take a moment to ask for your support. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It only takes a second, but it means the world to us. Your support motivates us to create more stories, and we're so grateful for each and every one of you. Now let's get started. The camera zooms in slightly. As Sarah takes a deep breath, her expression shifting to one of reflection. Sarah, I never thought I would find myself in this situation. Growing up in a small town, I always dreamed of a simple, happy life. I imagined a cozy home, a loving partner, and a quiet, peaceful existence. And for a while, it seemed like that dream was coming true. I married my college sweetheart, Adam, when we were both young and full of hope. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and that was enough. I thought. The screen fades to a flashback scene. A young Sarah and Adam, laughing and holding hands as they walk through a park. Sarah voiceover. Adam and I met in college. He was the kind of person who could light up a room with his smile. We were inseparable from the moment we started dating after graduation. We decided to take the next step and get married. It wasn't a lavish wedding, just a small ceremony with close friends and family. But it was perfect. We were so in love, so sure that we could conquer anything life threw at us. The scene transitions to Sarah and Adam moving into their first home together, a modest but charming house with a small garden. Sarah voiceover, our first home together was a rental. A small house with a little garden and a backyard that I adored. It wasn't much, but it was ours. Adam and I were both excited about this new chapter in our lives. We spent hours painting the walls, arranging furniture, and planting flowers in the garden. It felt like the start of something beautiful. The camera shifts to show Mr. Thompson, the landlord, introducing himself to Sarah and Adam. Sarah voiceover, that's when we met Mr. Thompson. Our landlord, he was an older man in his early 60s, with a friendly face and a warm smile. At first, he seemed like the perfect landlord, polite, helpful, and always checking in to make sure everything was okay with the house. I remember the first time he came by to fix a broken fence. He was so kind, asking if we needed anything and making small talk about how the neighborhood had changed over the years. Back then, I didn't think much of it. He was just a friendly older man. The scene transitions to Sarah alone in the house, gardening in the backyard. The camera captures her peaceful expression as she tends to the flowers. Sarah voiceover. But as time went on, things started to change. Adam's job began to take him out of town more often, and I found myself spending more time alone. At the house, it was during these moments of solitude that I began to notice Mr. Thompson in a different light. He would stop by unannounced more frequently, sometimes to check on the house, sometimes just to chat at first. I thought it was harmless. After all, he was our landlord. But as time went on, I began to feel something shift in our conversations. The camera zooms in on Sarah's face as she recalls a specific memory, her expression growing uneasy. Sarah, a voiceover. One afternoon, I was gardening in the backyard when Amar Thompson stopped by. He'd been coming over more frequently, and though I didn't mind his company at first, something about his visits began to feel off. He was always so kind, but there was an underlying intensity to his attention that made me uneasy. The scene transitions to a conversation between Sarah and Mr. Thompson in the backyard. The camera captures the subtle tension in their interaction. Mr. Thompson, your garden is looking beautiful. Sarah, you have such a green thumb. Sarah, thank you. Mr. Thompson, I've always loved gardening. It's so peaceful, Mr. Thompson, peaceful? Yes, that's a good word for it. Sometimes I think we all need a little more peace in our lives. Don't you agree, Sarah? I suppose so. Mr. Thompson pauses, his gaze lingering on Sarah. Mr. Thompson, are you happy here, Sarah? Sarah hesitates, caught off guard by the question. Sarah, of course. Adam and I love this house. It's been a wonderful place to start our life together. Mr. Thompson, that's good to hear. But I meant, are you happy? Truly happy, Sarah shifts uncomfortably. Unsure how to respond, Sarah. Voiceover, I wasn't sure how to answer that question. Of course I was happy with Adam, but I'd started to feel a distance between us, especially with his long hours at work. There were times when I felt alone, even when he was home, but I didn't want to admit that to Mr. Thompson. Not out loud. The camera captures Sarah's conflicted expression. As she forces a smile, Sarah. I'm happy, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for asking, Mr. Thompson nods. But his expression suggests he doesn't fully believe her. Mr. Thompson, sometimes, it's easy to forget how important it is to have someone to talk to feel like someone's really listening. Sarah feels a shiver run down her spine as his words linger in the air. Sarah voiceover, I couldn't explain it, but the way he said it sent a shiver down my spine. His words lingered in the air long after you left. I brushed it off, telling myself that it was just a harmless conversation. But the more Mr. Thompson came around, the more I started to notice subtle shifts in his behavior. The scene transitions to Sarah alone in the house, reflecting on our interactions with Mr. Thompson. Sarah voiceover, his compliments, once innocent, began to carry a weight I wasn't used to. He'd comment on how nice I looked, how well I took care of myself, how well I maintained the house. At first, I thought he was just being kind, but soon, it felt like he was noticing things that no one else. Did the camera shift to show Mr. Thompson visiting the house more frequently, his presence becoming more intense? Sarah voiceover. One evening, Adam was away on a business trip. It was a quiet night, and I was curled up on the couch with a book. When the doorbell rang, I wasn't expecting anyone, so I hesitated before answering. When I opened the door, there stood Emma Thompson with a smile on his face. The scene shows Sarah opening the door to Mr. Thompson, who greets her warmly. Mr. Thompson. Good evening, Sarah. I was just in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by to make sure everything was. All right, Sarah. Everything's fine, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for checking in. Sarah steps back to let him in, trying to hide her discomfort. Sarah voiceover. It had become normal for him to stop by unannounced, so I didn't think much of it. He walked into the living room, and we began talking just as we always did. But this time, I felt a strange tension in the air. There was something about the way he looked at me that made me uncomfortable. It wasn't anything overt, just a look, a lingering gaze, but it was enough to make my heart race. The camera captures the growing tension between Sarah and Mr. Thompson as they sit in the living room. Mr. Thompson, Sarah, it's rare to meet someone like you, someone who really listens, someone who truly cares. Sarah shifts uncomfortably, trying to create distance between them. Sarah, I don't know what to say, Mr. Thompson. I'm just being friendly, Mr. Thompson. Sometimes being friendly is more than enough. You're a remarkable woman, Sarah. I hope you know that Sarah's heart pounds in her chest as she struggles to respond. Sarah voiceover, I wanted to move away, to tell him that I was uncomfortable, but I didn't. Instead, I laughed nervously and pulled my legs up to my chest, trying to create some distance between us. Even if it was just physical, the camera zooms in on Sarah's face, capturing her internal conflict. Sarah voiceover, Mr. Thompson noticed the shift in my posture, and for a moment there was silence between us. He looked at me, his eyes soft, but with a sharpness behind them that I couldn't ignore. Mr. Thompson breaks the silence, his voice low and sincere. Mr. Thompson, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Sarah, I I just wanted you to know that you are appreciated. You're a very special person. Sarah's breath catches as she struggles to respond. Sarah, thank you. Mr. Thompson, I appreciate that, but I'm married. I have a husband who I love very much. Mr. Thompson nods, his expression unreadable. Mr. Thompson, I understand. I don't want to cause any problems between you and your husband. I just had to tell you how I felt. Sarah feels a mix of fear and confusion as she processes his words. Sarah voiceover, I didn't know what to say. I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come. I didn't want to hurt him, but I also didn't want to give him any false hope. What was I supposed to do in this situation? How could I make him understand that I was married and not interested in pursuing anything outside of my relationship with Adam? The camera captures Sarah's internal struggle as she takes a deep breath, trying to find the right words. Sarah, Mr. Thompson, I understand that you're being honest, but I need to be clear with you. I'm married and I'm committed to my husband. I appreciate your kindness, but I'm not interested in anything more than a landlord relationship. There's a long pause as Mr. Thompson processes her words. Mr. Thompson, I understand. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. That was never my intention. Sarah nods, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. Sarah, thank you for understanding. I'll see you around. Mr. Thompson gives a small, respectful nod and turns to leave. The camera follows him as he walks out the door, leaving Sarah alone in the living room. Sarah voiceover as the door clicked shut behind him. I let out a breath I didn't know I had been holding. I sat there, staring at the door for what felt like an eternity, trying to make sense of what had just happened. I had never felt so conflicted in my life. Part of me wanted to tell Adam what had been going on, but another part of me was too ashamed, too afraid of what he might think. I didn't want to cause problems. I didn't want to make him doubt me or worse. Make him angry. The camera zooms in on Sarah's face, capturing her conflicted emotions. Sarah voiceover, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I couldn't ignore the way Mr. Thompson was making me feel. It wasn't right and I didn't want to encourage it. Yeah, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to his visits than he was letting on. What was I supposed to do? The scene transitions to Sarah sitting at the kitchen table, deep in thought. The camera captures her internal struggle as she tries to decide how to handle the situation. Sarah voiceover, days turned into weeks, and the tension between Mr. Thompson and me only grew. I still hadn't told Adam about the strange interactions with our landlord. A part of me feared that he wouldn't understand, or worse, that he'd get angry and upset with me. After all, I was just trying to be friendly, wasn't I? It was just small talk. Nothing more right. That's what I told myself each time Mr. Thompson showed up at the house, unannounced, trying to brush off my growing unease. The camera shifts to show Mr. Thompson visiting the house again, his presence becoming more intense with each visit. Sarah voiceover, but the unease wasn't something I could easily ignore anymore. I couldn't stop thinking about the way Mr. Thompson had looked at me, the way he had touched the armrest of the couch during that one visit, as if he were trying to make a connection that wasn't just neighborly or landlord, tenant related. I would catch myself replaying the moment over and over in my mind each time, the tension growing within me. The scene transitions to Sarah alone in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. The camera captures her distracted expression as she reflects on her interactions with Mr. Thompson. Sarah voiceover, it was a quiet Tuesday evening when I found myself alone in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. I had always enjoyed cooking, but tonight it felt like more of a chore than a comfort. My thoughts were elsewhere, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. The sound of the doorbell interrupts Sarah's thoughts, and she looks out the kitchen window to see Mr. Thompson standing at the door. Sarah, voice over my heart, skipped a beat. I hadn't seen him in a couple of days, and although I should have been relieved, I felt a strange knot form in my stomach. I wiped my hands on a towel, took a deep breath, and walked to the door. The camera captures Sarah, opening the door to Mr. Thompson, who greets her with a warm but careful smile. Mr. Thompson, good evening, Sarah. I hope I'm not interrupting anything, Sarah, no. Not at all, come in. Sarah steps aside to let him in, trying to hide her discomfort. Sarah, voiceover as he entered the house. I felt a familiar sense of unease. He glanced around, his eyes briefly settling on the kitchen, where I'd been preparing dinner. Mr. Thompson smells wonderful in here. You're quite the cook. Sarah, thank you. It's just something simple for dinner. Nothing special, Mr. Thompson. You always say that, but you have a way of making the simplest things seem. Extraordinary. Sarah forces a smile, trying to brush off the compliment. Sarah, voice over the compliment was nice, I suppose, but it felt different coming from him. It wasn't like the compliments I had heard from friends, or even Adam. There was a weight to them, as if he was seeing something in me that wasn't just about the food or the house. I felt myself growing uneasy again, but I tried to push the feeling away. The camera shifts to show Sarah and Mr. Thompson sitting in the living room, the tension between them palpable. Mr. Thompson, Sarah, I've been thinking a lot about what I said last time. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I understand your boundaries and I respect that. I just didn't want to leave things unsaid. Sarah looks at him for a long moment, feeling the weight of his words. Sarah, thank you for understanding. Mr. Thompson, but I need to be clear. I'm married, my focus is on my marriage with Adam, and I can't allow any distractions. I value our professional relationship. But that's where it ends. Mr. Thompson nods slowly, his expression softening, but still carrying a hint of sadness. Mr. Thompson, I understand. I'm sorry if I overstepped. Sarah takes a deep breath, feeling a sense of relief. Sarah, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page.